Before money, people traded goods, tools, cattle, grain, even shells represented value. Then currency came along. They made it out of copper, gold, silver, wampum. Soon people decided to put all that value into a piece of paper, then proceeded to wave goodbye to value, printing unlimited amounts of money as they passed the buck to the future. That's why it's time for digital currency and your investment in the Grayscale funds. Go digital. Go Grayscale.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's the Grayscale Bitcoin commercial. What did you guys think about it? So I'm going to tell you my thoughts, of course, because I got nothing better to do. I'm going to give that about a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I kind of liked it. The Ramones is, you guys are probably going to end up clicking on this video like later down the road, and there's no music whatsoever, and you're like, why wasn't there any music in the commercial whatsoever? Well, it was because it was the Ramones, and YouTube was probably very angry at me for posting that. However, continuing on here, a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I liked it. It was fun. It was fast. It was somewhat informative. But I don't think it was informative enough about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And it really didn't actually even mention the name Bitcoin, because you can clearly see at the end of the commercial, they have a Bitcoin trust, an Ethereum trust. I think they had a Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, Zcash, and some other ones. And so it was just sort of a broad encompassing cryptocurrency commercial to invest in Grayscale. The problem is I just don't really know anybody out there, at least I don't know anybody personally. I'm sure there are people that are going to invest with Grayscale with cryptocurrencies, but I don't really know anybody personally, and I don't think anybody you guys know personally, no offense, is going to be investing in Grayscale. Again, as I said yesterday, I made a video that this commercial was up and coming, and it actually basically came out the next day, or at the very least it got leaked, and so we got to see it. But I said in the video yesterday that I think I would actually prefer like a Coinbase commercial. I haven't seen one of those yet. I don't believe they have one. And I think that would be a pretty good idea, or a Kraken or something like that. And I think that would get a lot more people into it. I think, you could talk about Coinbase, and then at the end of the commercial they could say, or use our Coinbase Pro feature, our full exchange functionality, right? And so you could get the idea of both of them, and then that would get people interested in the website. And I think that website is sort of a perfect website to like log into, and then see all these different currencies, and then you kind of go like, what's this all about? And then you go into researching Bitcoin even more. Unfortunately, the only really bad thing about Coinbase, aside from their potential insider trading and hiring hackers that did terrible things in other countries and various other things, is the horrible fees that's on Coinbase. And of course you should always, anybody that's a reasonable veteran on Coinbase knows you just use a bank ACH transfer, and then you just use Coinbase Pro, and you avoid those outrageous regular Coinbase fees. I mean, really, with Coinbase, you should learn Coinbase, and then you take Coinbase and you go over the garbage can and you dump it in the garbage can, and then you just use Coinbase Pro. But it would be a great, step into the industry for a lot of people. I think a Coinbase commercial would be a lot more effective. That's my 2 cents. Tell me your 2 cents. I'll probably comment in 4 to 6 weeks. That's business weeks, and we'll get at you real soon with one of those replies on the comments. I'm just kidding. I reply usually pretty quick, but. Moving on, the only news that I really found that was sort of interesting, and I was actually reading something about this the other day, and I figured it would be a good read for all of you. Basically, cryptographer recovers $300,000 worth of Bitcoin that was bought in 2016. So Michael Stay, a Pyrofex Core CTO and Google's former security engineer for 6 years, saved a particular Russian investor from what could be termed a massive disaster. I could read, I promise, as he helped the investor retrieve his $300,000 worth of Bitcoin from an encrypted zip file. According to an article on HackRead, the unidentified Russian investor bought Bitcoin worth $1.5 million back in 2016 and saved it in a password-protected zip file designed years ago by an amateur cryptographer. However, recently the investor is said to have forgotten the password encrypted keys and hence cannot have access to the remaining Bitcoin on the zip file. So apparently he bought about 1.5 million worth in 2016, slapped it on there, and has been sort of selling them ever since, but then just at some point forgot the password to this encrypted zip file. with $300,000 remaining, which would be like what? That's like $12,000 Bitcoin right now, so a little less than 30, maybe 25. We'll call it 25. Spit and shake on it, you know. Michael Stay was a former cryptographer and reverse engineer back in the 1990s. He narrated his act of heroism at the DEF CON virtual event, one of the world's largest and most notable hacker conventions held in Las Vegas. At the event, Stay narrated how he came into contact with the Russian investor who he termed as the guy. According to him, the investor read an old cryptography article where he recounted techniques on how to hack into encrypted zip files and was impressed. Later on, the Russian investor contacted him in 2019 through LinkedIn and sought his assistance in retrieving the password. Stay, who was eager to do the work, gladly accepted the job for $100,000. The investor, whose Bitcoin worth $10,000 back then when he bought them, now has increased to $300,000, was more than willing to pay such an amount. In hacking into the zip file, Stay reported that he faced difficulties as the owner of the account couldn't offer him any clues as required, and so he had to attempt different combinations. Which is a little weird that you can't offer any clues whatsoever on what the password you had for your zip file. That's a little shady. I mean, I think like I might forget passwords of my own from time to time, but I know like it's got to be something like this. I had to have put it, you know, like something like this. But I suppose he was just using really good password techniques and just made one that was like 14 digits long. I don't even know. And hacking into the zip file, or never mind. However, with a series of steps, the ace cryptographer made his work easier. First, he inquired about the type of zip program. He found that it was a info zip software. Later, he identified the software version, and lastly, requested Pyrofex CEO Nash Foster to help him implement the encryption code on the NVIDIA GPUs. After much protocol, the months-long feat was accomplished in just a few days with a low cost of $7,000. And not to this is not to be confused with the private key of Bitcoin, just rather the encryption on a simple zip file, really. Due to the old version of the encryption program, Stay was able to hack into the encrypted zip file and recover what is now worth $300,000 in Bitcoin. So really only got paid $7,000 for a few days' work, but I'd love to get paid $7,000 for just a few days' work. I'll do that anytime. Unfortunately, I probably cannot hack into your zip file. So moving on to CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin down from, it was 12,000. It had just breached 12,000 yesterday. And I'm not really surprised that everything is sort of retraced as we had some huge gains. Tezos going absolutely through the roof, 426. Interesting. Even Chainlink traced down a little bit from, it was like 1440 and now 1321. It's been around that all day. Just makes total sense. I mean, especially with Bitcoin there, I've always said that there's always that like 1,000 stigma. And it's just every 1,000. It's like 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 4 to 5 to 6. And you can see it on the chart. You can see it like almost every time if you're just sitting there trading and you're just watching an exchange. It'll be like $5,900, $5,998, and it'll usually go to like $6,000, like $20, $6,030, and then it'll just immediately bomb back to like $15,980. There's always just that uncertainty once it gets to every 1,000. Like everyone, like there's a lot of people don't want to be buying at that point, and the whole 50-50 buyers and sellers sort of shifts downward, and now there's less people buying because it just breached over 6,000, and everybody knows it's gonna dump, and people get uncertain. So that's not nothing too crazy, but will these ads actually affect the price of Bitcoin? Probably not that much. I think there's a lot of hype with them. It's a good thing. I don't think it would be a bad thing for Bitcoin at all. It's a good thing for these ads to get out there. But I'd still like to see ads for like Kraken, Coinbase. It'd be hard to make an ad for like Binance and various exchanges because they operate it in, like in Malta or somewhere like that, where it's, like where do you actually advertise this exchange for, or you can legally do it. Whereas in the United States, I mean, Coinbase, Kraken, totally legal, and you'd be able to make an ad for them. I think that would actually do a lot more for Bitcoin than Grayscale. I think Grayscale is sort of like this investment firm that's above the normal person and above the normal investor who is just going to go into Coinbase, put a few $100s in and hodl it or trade just a little bit or something like that. That's nothing too crazy there. But who knows? It could have a great effect. It could maybe start a snowball effect, of more people going, oh, wow, look at this commercial. It worked so well for them. Maybe Coinbase or these various other organizations will start making them as well. But that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the commercial. Again, tell me what you thought about it. Again, 5 out of 6, but that's all I have for you guys. I'll see you next time.